Good evening.
And welcome to
Well,
Autist Circle number 7, the 7 circles of hell, I guess.
let me make sure the audio looks good. Okay, so yeah, we should be good. So welcome. We're gonna talk about Hieronymus Bosch a bit, but then we're gonna focus on the painting Garden of Earthly Delights, um, like his most famous painting. Everybody's seen this damn thing. It's because it's insane. And there's
Yeah.
just so much to it. Um, so,
I'm
uh,
and just my constant joke with Hieronymus Bosch. Whenever I look at the butt music, I always like to call him erogenous Bosch, just for shits and giggles.
oh yeah, so I guess we'll just go ahead and jump in here.
Yeah, and I guess we should also put the caveat out. We're talking about one painting for an hour rather
Yeah.
than his a broader body of work, just because Bosch is just so crazy. It's great.
Well, yeah, because this painting is it's so insane. Um, I guess first off, before we talk about the painting, let's go over talk about Bosch a little bit, who he was. He was born Hieronymus von Aiken 1450, and I'm gonna massacre this pronunciation because I'm not Dutch. It's a Hertgenbosch in the Duchy of Barbarant,
Brabant.
in the
Brabant.
Brabant, yes, Brabant, in the Netherlands. Well, what is now the Netherlands? Um, they just call it the city is known as Den Bosch, so we're gonna call it from now on. He was from a family of famous artists. His father and his grandfather were both famous artists. He trained at the family's workshop, but that's all we know. There's no real record of him training, who trained him, who taught him, like where he trained, other than they just assume at his family's workshop because his family had a big painting workshop.
Mhm.
Um, he does, there's people that believe he has influences from other places so that he may have traveled at some point, but it's never confirmed.
I'm and,
Uh, let's see.
and it mentions the 1463 burned 4,000 homes in Den Bosch. Um, that's okay. What actually burned? Were their church records burned? Were there town records? Were any
Yep.
correspondence he might have had? Um,
Man,
so he's kind of a blank.
he is. It looks like I'm dropping on OBS. The heck's going on?
So
I'm not sure.
hmm,
Says I'm getting an error, but
yeah,
uh,
until chat complains, I guess we'll just soldier on.
uh, it's something with my stream health. Ah, crap. I think it's my. Well, I can fix that a little bit here. Let's see. Stream health, stream settings. Let me change the stream
I'm
settings.
starting to think that maybe this painting is causing a curse with your OBS.
Man, it might be.
The
Hmm.
so
Well, I
just
don't know. I think it's let me see. I think it might be good now. Let me refresh and see. Of course, we wouldn't have gone if it didn't have friggin' technical difficulties.
at least we're consistent.
Oh, Jesus.
So let's see.
Okay. Man, my OBS decided to crap on me, so let's see if it's gonna work now. Okay. Okay. I think I think it's going now. Let's see. Because why wouldn't it be a mess? Anyhow, okay.
Well, it's Bosch. Yeah, we've got
I
to have
know.
it a mess. Correct.
Right. Gonna keep going. So, um, anyhow, so there was very little known about him. He yeah, this painting is kind of crazy. Especially like it's like life size right in my face in front of me on the screen I'm looking at. So anyhow, he was yeah, get back to my thing. That messed me all up, damn it. Messed my flow up. Okay, so anyhow, say he was born in Den Bosch in 1450. They don't really know where he trained or anything like that. They assume they trained at his family's workshop. They know where he lived. His house is still standing right now.
Hmm.
Um, in 1463, a fire burned down about 4,000 homes in Den Bosch. So he was a teenager and he witnessed this crazy Holocaust that basically destroyed his hometown, and it influenced him, influenced a lot of his work later that what we'll get to. Um, his name, Jerome von Eyck, and he goes by well, Jerome is like the English pronunciation of it.
Hmm.
Hieronymus would be the Dutch or Hieronymus, but the Hieronymus with the H, all that, that's the original Latin spelling. So he adopted that. The Bosch obviously is from his town, Den Bosch, his hometown of Den Bosch. Around 1480, he married a woman. Um, I can't even say her name. Elet Goyert van de Meerven. She was rich. Sure, she was wealthy.
Hmm.
And so that afforded him financial stability. And now I was saying, before the stream, I was telling Bleach that they don't actually have like a marriage certificate or an official record of the marriage because um they only know that they started signing legal paperwork together after a certain point. So that's why they say around for a lot of this stuff about him because we just don't know for sure. It's all around. They
Right.
do know in
And
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to say, and with the record keeping of the time, especially things like marriages, unless she was a widow, um, yeah, it might not have been considered a valid marriage because it was not a state marriage, but a religious marriage at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that those records are lost to history. So in 1488 he joined a lay religious organization called the Brotherhood of Our Lady. And it was like a fraternity of the wealthiest people in town, basically. Like wealthy and influential people joined this, and it was not like a church organization, but they were it's kind of like I would say almost like the Elks Club kind of thing,
Yes, yes,
you know? Or
and
the Knights of Columbus. I think Knights of Columbus would be a more accurate description of it.
yeah,
Um,
and
except for yeah.
interestingly enough, I did some quick research on this. They were also
Mhm.
referred to as the Swan Brethren because at the annual banquet, you had to donate a swan.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I was researching said that they would serve them at dinners.
Hmm,
So they would donate a swan and then they would serve a swan for dinner. So
that's just
so
wild.
they ate swans, but I mean it's just a giant goose,
Yeah,
so who knows?
and it's
Um
just an interesting little epithet to have
it
thrown in
is.
there.
It is. And it will become germane as we go on. So a lot of his contemporaries he was contemporaries with Albrecht Dürer, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Ferdinand and Isabella, the Queen of Spain, King and Queen of Spain, who financed Columbus's trip
Hmm.
to America. Um, Columbus.
Obviously.
And yeah, obviously, and Erasmus. So there was a lot of just like really major historical figures, and he was just kind of one of them.
Mhm.
But it seems like the particulars of his life got lost in the mix for some reason.
Well, I can kind of see why his art would have been suppressed a bit, or at least very unpopular at the time, given
Well,
its kind of esoteric aspects. But
well,
at,
but
at the same time, he was also, he was commissioned to paint a lot of these things.
let's say that's the thing is his art wasn't unpopular. It was incredibly popular
Hmm.
at the time, and the art coming out of the workshop that he worked out of was incredibly popular. However, to this day, they can only verify the provenance of like 36 pieces of work that they can guarantee that it's his, along with only like a handful of drawings. So they can't they've traced some um or they've traced some of it back to the workshop that he worked from,
Hmm.
but they couldn't guarantee that it was him who did it. So the
That's
provenance of a lot of his work is really interesting. And fortunately, he was very popular with his work was very popular with Spanish royalty. And so he painted this painting for so we'll go ahead and hop over to the front panel. So it's
Yep.
so obviously we're talking about the Garden of Earthly Delights. So this is the front panel with the door. So it's a triptych, which is triptych is it refers to a three panel painting.
Hmm.
Any they do any polytish, they do many different types of triptych or many different types of paneled artwork.
Hmm.
These triptych, and specifically this one, because it's huge, right? It is 12 feet by 7 feet, so it's giant. And so a lot of these triptychs were designed as altar paintings,
Yep.
and generally designed to go from left to right, to tell a story or illustrate some biblical allegory.
Hmm.
Um, like they did a lot of that's all the altar pieces in, the Renaissance cathedrals and or the Baroque pieces in the cathedrals. There's a lot of three panel pieces in there.
And
Um,
it's. I think this is more of a kind of Western rather than say a more Italian style of popularity. Um,
yeah.
and that's going to include Spain, the Netherlands, Northern Europe. But it is an interesting thing looking at the triptych. Is it's very ceremonial. It has a very specific purpose, a specific lesson, and
It-
I wish we could have tracked down if this was open on specific feast days or not. But I'm sure somebody
so
out there knows that in great detail.
yeah, I'm sure there are. From my research, it was more like the guy who commissioned it.
Mm.
The He would open it up to show it. He was a Spanish royalty, and I can't believe I didn't write it down on this slide. But anyhow, Spanish royalty, the guy who commissioned it, he would bring it out and show it off,
Hmm.
because it's fucking awesome. First off, I mean, it's really cool and it's huge. So it's awesome in both senses of the word. So this is the panels, this is with it closed. And like you were saying with some of the trip dishes, they would only open them for certain occasions, for specific occasions.
Hmm.
Um, but this is it's kind of contrary to what you see inside in a way. Um, this is done in gray green grisaille, which is it's just work done with it's not even green. It's just all black and white. It just looks green
Hmm.
from this picture, and it looks green because of the brushwork and all that stuff. But what this is meant to depict is the third day of creation, where water was separated from the earth, where God started to create the earth.
Hmm.
And it's shown that like so the bottom of the globe is supposedly water, and then there's the earth here, and then the heavens. above, all encased in the big globe, which was something kind of was never actually, I don't think was ever actually official, but it was really something thought of at that time.
Yes.
Um, and up in the top corner here, which I don't have this is not a super good resolution image, but up in the top left corner, there's a picture of God. So, and it's God in the uh, in the pose. He's holding a book, and his hand is posed in such a way as to show that he's speaking.
Mm.
And then the words at the top here are Latin. It's Psalm 49 verse or Psalm 43 verse 9. For he spoke and it was done, for he commanded and it stood fast. So that's just the outside of the painting.
Yeah.
And as you can see, there's already starts just alien elements in here, which is something that happens a lot. Like the chaotic formation of creation right now is kind of what he's capturing, which I think is it's really well done. Um,
Well, definitely. And
yeah,
and it's also that I'm using that kind of grayed out look with the Griselle. It kind of deceives the viewer as to what you see as soon as you open it up.
yeah, it does. It's very different to what you see inside. So we'll go ahead and hop over to that, and I'll probably lag my system here while I hope because the image we got and the image on Wikipedia is 39,000 pixels.
Yeah, it's
It's
massive.
huge. So I'm getting a little lag here, but yeah, my OBS is lagging a little bit. There we go. Of course, because why should anything be easy?
I mean,
Um,
if it was easy, why would we be even bothering with that, you know?
right. Anyhow, back to the painting. So this is the painting. Garden of Earthly Delight. We'll see if my thing catches up to it. This is pissing me off.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's just such a wild piece in so many ways.
Yeah,
As your system dies a horrible death.
right. Yeah. My stream crashes out for some reason.
Yeah, so
The hell it is. Okay. I think I may have caught up now. It's like I'm closing things trying to make sure that I got enough memory so that my stream doesn't will quit being stupid. Well, okay. Let's see if it caught up or not yet. Ugh. I'm recording this anyway, so I can record. I can just publish it later if I need to.
there you go.
Um, so I think it should be, hopefully should be good now. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I think we've caught up now. It stopped lagging on me. Okay.
Technology.
I know. Yeah, I gotta love it. So, like I said previously, so we're going on to the painting here. So we'll do a general overview, then we'll look at we'll look at each panel individually. Well, we'll start with the first one here. So
Yep.
this shows it shows this is Bosch's vision of I don't heaven and hell, basically.
Well,
Um
it's more than
and
that. It's almost kind of touching on, yeah, heaven, well, Eden, yeah, kind of
yeah,
the fallen world as it is, and then hell itself.
yes, 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 very much. There's there's a lot packed into it. Obviously, because there's so much to it. And he was able to put so much in it because one, it's humongous. Like I said previously, it's 12 feet by 7 feet. And so, what you would do is set up this giant painting, and then they would set a pulpit or something in front of it. And then you could tell your story from there. They could do their sermon from there.
Hmm.
And you could, so for a lot of them, they could refer to the altar pieces during a sermon and say, "Hey, look, this is, um, the allegory of Saint Mark or something like that." Just like it's being detected right here.
Yep.
So
So,
anyhow,
oh, go ahead.
I just looked at chat and like, I'm hoping it's all caught up. It should be good now. Everything should be good. So, so I guess three things I want to point out about this painting really quick before we start digging in on it is like that there are like the scenes look weird and kind of disconnected, but there's a lot of commonalities to them,
Hmm.
and that there's a defined foreground, midground, and background on all of them. They all share a contiguous horizon line,
Hmm.
and of course, it's the themes and everything. And there's a lot of themes shared throughout this whole painting that we'll touch on here. So with that being said, um,
Shall we get into the first panel then?
yeah, we'll jump over to the first panel because it's gonna be like we'll be in here forever.
Yes. Yes, we absolutely would be.
So the first panel, if I can zoom in on it, because it's such a huge image. Okay, not that far. So we'll start off here, obviously. Um, this is the main part of it. The first is Jesus. Um,
Well,
Jesus with Adam and Eve, or not Jesus, but God depicted as
yes.
Christ.
Yes.
Yeah, so God and this is a really interesting there's a lot of really interesting things in this just in this pose alone. Um like the blonde hair on Eve, the long blonde hair was uh, the long blonde hair was a a popular like Dutch beauty at the time. It was
Mhm.
popular amongst Dutch people like at the time. Um
Was you
and the look on her face where she's not looking at Adam. She's kind of looking down.
Mhm. At the
But the way she's
three-headed bird?
the three-headed bird, yeah. So the the look on her face, yeah, she's looking down kind of towards the bird, but then she's almost the way her body posture is almost I mean it's submissive in that she's open, and Jesus holding her hand, it looks kind of like this could be immediately after she was created
Mhm.
for Adam.
Or
So and then
or
you see
in a sense caught red-handed with the from the tree of knowledge.
it could very well be, yeah. And so you'll notice immediately to her right, or yeah, to her right, there's rabbits in
Mhm.
a rabbit hole, which of course is a allegory for sex. Um, and then immediately to their right or to their left, there's that the tree,
Mhm.
the dragon's blood tree. Um, and then it's covered in grapes, and it has these interesting this interesting plant on it that looks like the little discs on it kind of look like communion wafers.
Yeah, yeah. The leaves definitely have that look to them.
Yeah, the kind of coin communion wafer, which there's communion wafers hidden throughout here, which is, of course, a very Catholic thing,
Hmm.
right? So down here at the bottom of this pool, right below them, um, you can see there's this weird pool with all these weird creatures in it coming out. There's frogs. There's frogs all over. And then there's like this weird monster-headed bird.
Yeah, and
There's a three-headed bird.
a unicorn fish
Yeah. And then there's this like duck mermaid person thing here
reading a book.
reading a book. Yeah. Um, and it's like, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder the more you look. There's frogs, there's all this stuff. Um,
There's a
there's more
bobcat
birds eating.
on the left
Yep,
hand side.
birds eating a frog. Yep, there's a bobcat catching a lizard. Um, and they're all in the midst of a giant orchard,
Hmm.
for for fruit for fertility
Hmm.
and fruitfulness. And so then immediately up from them is this fountain. Um, and it's the same color. It's the same color as the robes of God. But the fountain is meant to or thought to signify fertility the and female genitalia in a
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
Um, as an allegorical thing. So you'll also see in the middle here, there's a little owl in here.
Hmm.
There's owls um hidden throughout all of this thing. There's little lizards crawling out of the water, and you'll see little weird, perversions kind of creeping in everywhere.
Yeah. That's
Um,
interesting.
yeah. And so there's a date palm right here with a snake wrapped around it. So the date palm is a sign of resurrection.
Hmm.
Of course, with the snake on it. And that's sitting on top of this hill that kind of looks like a face, right? Like the bug on it kind of makes it look like a weeping face.
Hmm.
And it's thought to be an allegory, like it's thought to look like Golgotha,
Oh.
um, which translates to the place of the skull.
Yep.
It's also known as Calvary, or yeah, Calvary. It's where Jesus was crucified, and um, at one point it was thought that Adam's skull was under there, which
Yes,
is why they call
that's
it the place
part
of
of
the
the
skull.
lore.
Yeah, yeah, and so of course there's a resurrection on top of Golgotha here. Um, there's swan. There's one swan.
Yep.
It's an allusion to swans. Now it's kind of interesting, the depiction of the animals, because he never saw a giraffe. He never saw an elephant. It's very unlikely that he ever saw a monkey or a lot of these animals, right? And so
Hmm.
during this time, a lot of like kind of bestiary books were really popular. Just people would travel and uh,
And
yeah,
yeah,
streams cooked.
it's interesting because there's what you could almost imagine is a kangaroo beside the
Yeah,
giraffe. I have no idea what it was because yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know exactly what that is. So yeah, LGM saying the stream's cooked.
mm,
Coach,
so yeah,
I don't
it's
even know how the hell I'd fix it. So we'll just keep going, and if it,
the VOD
I'll
later.
release the recording later, the
Yeah,
VOD later. Yeah,
yeah, it's fascinating. Just you know, the detail with all the fictitious animals that he would have never seen to
right.
actually depict correctly. But the animals that
Yeah,
he could have seen, there are some really interesting details in them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, he did a good job getting the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the rabbits, everything. There's just a lot of weird stuff in here. Like, there's this pig up here
Mm-hmm.
with her little piglets
Yep.
that's chasing off some kind of like dancing weasel thing.
The dancing weasel. I like the dancing
Yeah,
weasel. Yeah.
yeah. But then as you move up past the if as you move up past the foreground into the background, yeah, that was going.
Yeah. With the
Yeah,
birds
sorry.
swarming out of the cave and whatnot. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I guess these are more birds, or are they just fish that are like floating around, or leaves?
There's lots of birds throughout the piece. All right, I'm trying to pare down stuff to make it trying to free up some memory. Um,
And, LG makes an interesting point about it being painted around the time of Columbus. So weird
yeah,
creatures, yeah, that's possible.
yeah. Um, so yeah, getting known and being that was the age of exploration.
Hmm.
Really, is what it was. Like it wasn't just Columbus. There were lots of guys that got sent out and came back. Marco Polo was out there. There was a lot of trade that was going out and coming back and bringing back interesting ideas about this stuff.
And
So,
yeah,
let's see.
so
So the background on this one, it's like we'll move in, we'll move past the animals here. Um, so I mean, it's mostly birds, but it's all very like organic looking mountains and stuff. It's not like necessarily buildings. It is weird and abstract,
yeah,
but um
it, it,
it's not super uh
it's very, like you said, it's very natural. It's not human engineered, so to speak.
right, right. Okay. Okay, I'm still trying to get to kill resources, big shit. Uh okay. But there's just a lot of interesting detail in it too. So there's the more rabbits, there's the animal eating the like I don't know if this is looks like it maybe supposed to be a lion eating a gazelle.
Yeah. There's a unicorn drinking at the water with the other animals.
Yeah.
Neat little
Yeah,
detail.
so down here you'll see there's a unicorn and there's some animals you'll see in these first two passages or first two um there's a unicorn, a horse, a boar, a goat and a bull. And those were all drawn from depictions of the seven deadly sins from a popular book at the time, which I didn't
Hmm.
bother writing down because I already had so much other information. I didn't want to do it. So,
Well, and also to be fair, that Bosch did do a circular painting that we were talking about before we got on.
yeah,
That was the seven deadly sins. It's a good
yeah,
kind of continuity between his works in a lot of ways.
yeah. And let's say so for that one, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the center panel. And the center panel has a lot more stuff to it.
What would make you say that?
Yeah. So we'll start over here in the lower right corner of the center panel. If I can get it to zoom in. Okay. So, um, this is the only clothed person in the entire panel. The and it's thought that this is possibly Adam. Um, hiding in a cave and maybe pointing at Mary, saying, or not Mary, at Eve,
Mhm.
saying this is her fault. Um, Eve has got a communion wafer over her mouth,
Mhm.
so silencing her. And then there's these glass tubes. These are the man-made structures in here, are all like glass tubes and stuff, which were popular alchemical things.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, you see a lot of people with fruit,
Yeah.
um, because fruit was again a sign of fertility. Um, and these people are all partaking of it so vehemently. But there's some really, I guess, interesting things to point out. And everywhere you go, you're going to find something crazy.
I don't know what would make you say that. This is
So
all
yeah,
I see this every day when I go outside.
right. So I guess immediately next to them, you'll see the people in the left. We'll say that immediately next to Adam, there's a group of people, some women, and then a black person or a Moor.
Mhm.
Because they didn't have a lot of them then, so anybody who was dark was just a Moor. Um, and then above them, there's an owl, another owl,
Yep.
on top of the head of these two people who are holding berries and cherries. Here's a person with the head of a fruit. Um, this person is being given. They look like they're either giving a bird or being given a bird or a fruit.
Uh-huh.
This center panel is really interesting. Obviously, aside from the fact that there's a dude stuffing flowers in another guy's butt, um, and a guy holding a fish,
Yeah. Or the duck get you feeding a human.
right? But one thing you can notice is that there's a shared. Um, so this person right here in the middle that has the like veil, the flower veil over their head, is in the same position as Adam was in the first
Hmm.
panel.
Yeah.
Their hand is in the same position.
Hmm.
So
I had not picked up on that.
yeah. So it's I guess another one of those elements that's kind of gets reused. And then again you'll see that all the guys these are all men
Mhm.
in the thing. These are all men back here. She's the only female sitting there with in the pose with next to the dude getting flowers stuffed up his butt. Um Over here closer to the middle of what I'm looking at here, there's a duck feeding a guy fruit.
Yeah.
There's cherries on this woman's head, which cherries were meant to symbolize male genitalia.
Mm.
Uh, Blackberries and stuff like that, because they had lots of seeds, were thought to kind of symbolize promiscuity.
Ah.
So
Excellent.
that's why you see a lot of berries in here. And then you see these people over here on the bottom left hand side, um, looking back at Adam and God and all that, and being like, "Hey, look, that's the creation." Kind of
Yeah.
looking at it. Um, Probably thinking, "Oh, glory, this is where we come from,"
Mhm.
without realizing that because they're all naked, um, which would be fine were it not for the fall of man,
Mhm.
But then now this just symbolizes wickedness.
Yeah.
Um,
And well, not just wickedness, but also kind of the unabashed wickedness because they haven't covered their shame, so to speak.
yeah, yeah, and they're being very perverted and decadent,
Mhm.
which is really what this whole thing is meant to symbolize. Like the whole overall panel is just like humanity is fallen and decadent in so many ways. So here's a guy who's, he's hugging an owl. These people are stuck in this glass dome.
Mhm.
There's a with the flower, just kind of just crazy. These people in the pond over here are eating off of another berry.
Mhm.
like that. They're all eating off of the same one, while these people who are in there with a stork, in this other fruit with a stork with a foot sticking out the side of it. Just um
A gigantic moth, going to feed off of a flower. Yeah.
right. It's like a thistle. And these people in the shell who like the empty shell, you can see there's two people and there's pearls, obviously symbolizing what that is. Um, we'll jump back over. I'll scooch over some more here. So now again in the middle, there's another bird sitting on the red teepee. That's feeding the people.
Mhm.
He's like he's giving them berries. Um, and then, of course, over to their left, the other owl guy, more people eating, they're plucking fruit. So plucking fruit was a euphemism, a Dutch euphemism
Intercourse.
for having sex. So in this middle scene, moving past this is just the foreground. So moving into the midground, um, well, more birds feeding people.
There
This
has to be
guy's
something that we're not familiar with birds feeding people.
so there might be, but it becomes reversed in the final panel. So we'll see.
Hmm.
So where it's not birds feeding people, but people feeding birds. Um, but we can look at the center. So this is the pond is all full of women, while all the suitors roll around on the outside.
Mhm.
Um, and here on the outside again, we see a bear, a unicorn, a bull, a boar, a camel, and then a horse.
Mhm.
Of course, there's also a griffin,
Yeah.
right here, which is weird.
There's one flying up top too.
Yeah. This egg is an interesting piece because it's the center point for the whole painting.
Hmm.
From this egg, you can draw a line. You can draw lines from everything across it. You can draw radial lines. Everything radiates out from this egg in the center of the painting.
Hmm. It's just fascinating. And then
So another, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm just looking at the various yeah, just the strange details because they've got the guys lifting up the on the right hand panel. They're lifting up the pink thing with the bear on top, and then there's a bird on top of the bear.
Yeah, yeah. It's not pink thing. It's like hollowed out. It looks like a scorpion, but it's some hollowed out shell,
Yeah, because
something,
we
and
see
maybe it's a
that later,
flower.
but I have
Yeah,
no idea what that thing is.
yeah, yeah. Um, and there's just so many crazy little details in here. Of course, the pool, swimming in the bath of Venus, was a euphemism for being in love.
Hmm.
So it could also be that this is an allegory for falling in love or being in love.
Yeah,
Um, all
and
the women in the middle and the men going around the center.
kind of
Or
giving gifts of sorts, with the
right.
various trophies being carried around.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, which would be pretty normal.
Hmm.
Over here to the side, there's just another like people holding up this weird bird thing. Some of them are upside down and some are right side up. And there's rabbits everywhere, interspersed throughout the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, this pink symbol or this pink structure, the pink structures are thought to be symbolic of female genitalia or analogous to female genitalia,
Hmm.
while the blue ones are meant to represent male genitalia.
Okay.
With, of course, the blue and the pink ones together symbolizing um, intercourse.
Hmm. And
So,
then you have the winged guy holding a fish with a bird on his butt.
it's just it just keeps getting like I can see the color pink, which of course is reflected in God's robe and the fountain in the first one, but then he has these kind of bluish veins in it,
Mhm.
which makes it look like flesh.
Yeah. And it's such again, this is one of those pieces where the more you stare at it, the more bizarre it becomes. And
It's yep. Okay, the mermaid on the flying fish with the berry.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I guess one thing that I like about it is just how much detail is actually packed into this thing because it's like one of those things where if you keep zooming, there's like okay, so there's all these people in the background and they're all naked, playing with the animals back here.
Mhm.
Um, there's this guy riding in a fruit on some animal looking thing. Some guy down here riding this really crazy multi-legged lizard.
Uh, yeah, the guy being eaten by the deer in the background.
Hmm. And everywhere you go, there's just naked people scattered throughout, doing weird stuff, Like here's a guy patting somebody on the butt
Yeah.
as they're going into the tube.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not flowers this time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is better a pat than the flowers. Again, pearls to symbolize fertility.
Mhm.
And the paintings, the happy little trees are so cool too. Like it does he does such a good job of capturing the I don't know, the look of the trees in the
Mhm.
background here.
Well,
Um,
and it's artistic while also being a little more realistic than what you'd expect in some ways from everything else in this painting.
right. Well, and it reflects the kind of the Renaissance style of the time where they are searching for realism, but they haven't perfected it yet because oil paints have only just barely been perfected themselves.
Mm.
So oil paints were not perfect were perfected within his lifetime or
Okay.
sure, right before his lifetime. And it wasn't by him. Um, so we'll carry on with the painting. We're running really we're running really late.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
so much more to go and we haven't even talked about the last panel.
I mean,
So just a few more things really quick I want to point out here before we jump into the last panel.
mhm,
A few more things that are kind of important. So there's on top of this one in the middle, there's this crescent moon. There's
mhm.
crescent moons were used a lot of the time back then to show evil for nothing, if nothing else, like
Okay.
wickedness,
Mhm.
because it was associated with Islam and the Ottomans.
So they
And
got it
that's
correct.
yeah, well.
Oh, sorry, YouTube.
so they and you can just see there's birds and there's people and weird shit all over and it just is meant to symbolize like the depravity and kind of decadence of man.
Mhm. And
And
apparently
so
the love of oversized fowl.
yeah, the love of big birds.
You hear that Sesame Street? They beat you to it. My 400 years at least.
Okay. And with that one, and it's almost like I need a better laptop already. Okay, there we go. So with that, we'll hop over to the final panel, the third panel, hell. Um, and with hell, we'll start off down here in the lower left-hand corner or lower right-hand corner too. So the very first thing you see down here is a man holding a document over his head with one in his hand, and then a pig dressed as a nun with a trying to get a man to sign something um, with seals on it.
Mhm.
Now, those seals look very similar to what the seals that were on indulgences.
Yes.
So, um, this could be a criticism, and now this was before Martin Luther released his thesis,
Mhm.
and it was leading up to the Reformation, so there were some criticisms of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And the Reformation, like, largely was brought about because of the indulgences. Like, if it weren't for indulgences, the Reformation probably never would have happened in such a way.
Yeah, yeah, and just the utter corruption of, the hierarchy at that time.
Yeah. And, as you see, there's like a birdman or something, um, offering him a quill and a pen to sign while
Mhm.
the pig's trying to coerce him into it. Um, Immediately from to the left of that, you'll see the blessing hand, the benediction hand, with a die balanced on it,
And a
um,
knife through it, yeah.
and a knife through it, symbolizing the corruption of God's word.
Mhm.
Um, and then, of course, and they're on an overturned table, which is very similar, like Jesus overturned the tables for the money
Exactly. Yeah.
changers. Um,
Like,
but
right.
then really these are all gamblers, there's cards and everything. There's the I don't know if Parcheesi is necessarily a gambling game.
Well, apparent or backgammon, yeah.
The backgammon, yeah. But then this is and then the die here. Um, so if you it's an interesting thing, and not everybody would know this, but the 2 and the 5 should be on opposite faces on this die, because on a six-sided die, all sides add up to 7.
Mm.
The opposite sides all add up to 7. So this is a loaded die. This is a cheating die.
Hmm. Well, and it's also interesting, if you look down at the cards, they have the
Mhm.
2 and the 5 paired together as well.
Yep. Yeah. So and then you'll see there's tally marks on the table. So I guess in the interest of time, um, you see there's the rabbit holding the guy on the pike, which is similar to something from a, grotesquerie,
Mhm.
which was the things inscribed on the margins of some medieval literature. Some monks and stuff would draw pictures in the margins of manuscripts.
With fire erupting from his bowels.
Yeah. They're in hell. Um, and so then immediately to the right of there, you'll see a woman with a frog on her chest being embraced by a demon, having to look at her own face
In the
in the
mirror?
butt of a demon. In
Yeah.
the mirror, yeah, but the mirror is a butt of a demon. So it's like her face is reflected in the butt of a demon. And then right next to there is a guy shitting coins
Into another
um
pit of despair. Yeah.
into a pool of suffering and filth. Um and then a guy being forced to puke into it there. Uh and this is probably because of gluttony. So this is vanity and then greed and gluttony. Um and then above that, of course, is the bird, yet another owl. But this one is eating them now. So instead of the birds being fed, the birds are now eating the people and preying on them.
Mhm.
And
And
he's eating these people. They're getting processed. They're getting dipped down into the pit. Um,
also kind of a note with the pots and pans all being worn. And like, oh, okay, yeah, this is another representation of gluttony here too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, the instruments. So ungodly music was seen as a sin at the time,
Mhm.
and the hurdy-gurdies particularly because they were an easy music instrument to play. They would be played by beggars a lot of the time. Um,
And I'll have to link this later, but there have been renditions of the butt music that are being played on
oh,
these instruments.
yeah, absolutely. So this music has been transcribed into actual notation, and you can see this kind of like bird-like feature with this note music, looks like a musical scale almost.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's a guy crucified on the harp, and
Yeah.
there's someone shoving a flaming toad towards him, which is meant to be symbolic of when they
They lanced Christ
put
in the
this.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when they mocked him with the sponge of wine.
Mhm.
So, and then more of the instruments. So there's a blind guy. He's getting ready to turn the handle on this instrument, this blind beggar. That's what this tag off his bull. It's a begging license.
Oh.
So they actually had licensed beggars. Um, yeah, you had to get a license to beg. And he's blind, and he's about to turn the handle, which will decapitate this woman inside of the instrument, um, because of the way the instrument works.
Mhm.
And then, of course, see, there's the guy trapped in the drum, getting beaten on by the demon.
Yep.
And then the dude holding the flute with the flute, which is meant to be, it's very symbolic of another painting of Christ
Mhm.
holding the cross. And then there's the man next to him with his arms splayed out. And he's got a Ottoman flag on his head, um, which, of course, symbolizes
The
evil and wickedness.
exactly, yeah. The worst of humanity with one flag.
Yeah. Okay, and so then moving to the mid ground. Of course, the mid ground in this one is a frozen lake.
Which, again, another inverse of all the other water scenes we've been seeing up to this point.
Yes. There's a guy down here with the egg on his back, holding the walking stick on top of the hurdy-gurdy. That's thought to be Homo incurvatus in se is what it was called, and it was a thing that was depicted in paintings, and it was and you see it a lot in these painting in this panel is because there's people um hunched over,
Mm.
right? And that's what it's meant to be. They're hunched over, they're not seeing the light, they're not standing up to see the light of God. They're living for themselves internally.
Mhm.
So they're curved into themselves,
Hmm.
which is represented by the guy with the egg. Um of course
Tree man?
the tree man, the eggshell tree man, there's like a tavern, um which the guy with an arrow in his butt is climbing up to.
I didn't catch
Yeah.
that.
With a jug on a stick. There's another guy on a circle over here, or on a disc over here. That is very similar to the disc in the first painting on the fountain.
Mhm.
Could potentially be a Eucharist wafer. Um, this knife with this little mark on there is actually from the city, Den Bosch. It's on the ear up here too.
Hmm.
Because Den Bosch was a famous, they made knives and cutlery and silver and stuff like that. And so that was the stamp for it.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a nod to his hometown.
huh.
Um, Here you'll see these soldiers getting impaled,
Yep. Then
which is thought to be kind of like how the soldiers impale, or they stabbed Christ.
mhm.
Um, And then, of course, there's bagpipes, which bagpipes are meant to symbolize a dick. It's a very phallic looking instrument, was
Yeah.
always thought to be very phallic. Um,
I like
and
the
then,
little flag that's a little bit further to the left that shows the bagpipe in the
yeah,
flag. I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
okay."
So originally, because they've done uh, scans of it, X-rays of it, and found, that wasn't originally what was going to be there. There was originally going to be like a giant frog, but instead he went with something else.
Hmm.
But the key here, no, normally you see the key as like the key to heaven, but this can also symbolize the key to, it's because God gave Lucifer the key to the endless pit,
Yeah, and
so
conversely, and also the keys to, the kingdom of heaven that are for binding and loosing, and
yep,
so there's maybe an inverse allegory with that too,
yep,
representing the corruption of the church, just like the
yep,
indulgences.
yep, very much. the uh the knife with the ears, as it's like plowing over people, it can it's thought to symbolize being cut off from the word of God.
Mm,
So the ears are severed, and they're unhearing.
mhm.
And the so now this is the background, which is amazing. Like the detail in this is just so crazy when you really get in on it.
I mean, just the lighting of it is wild.
Yeah. And so it's thought to be that this was inspired partially by the conflagration that he witnessed as a kid.
Mm.
Um, that maybe have or it might have the conflagration left an impression on him, the burn and
Well,
the horror,
there's
right?
a very clear depiction of a older, kind of Northern European windmill there in the center of
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah, which would be emblematic of the Dutch.
mhm. Windmills and tulips.
Yeah, and there's a guy leading a crusade of like, and they're following this horned guy on a monster,
Hmm.
right? So it's like a procession of demons and a river of filth, and there's just horror and decay everywhere, and it's just really meant to symbolize the wages of sin,
Yeah.
um,
The eternal torment.
the eternal. Yep, and that it is torment, and that uh, it's not something to be taken lightly
Yeah.
in the same way. So there's a few more things in there, but we are out of time. We're over time, and
And I'm not really shocked given this painting and everything going on in it that we had
yeah.
to run over.
So we may come back to this or another one of his works at a later date, but for now, we're gonna leave it off at there. It's a crazy, amazing piece, and I encourage anybody who can to take a look at it and just um, witness it, and I guess understand it as an allegory of a very faithful man and um, how he thought the wages of sin would be, and the dangers of sin,
Hmm.
and
And
yeah,
not only that, but also that, yeah, there's a lot of just crazy eye-catching stuff in it, but it's all has a slightly deeper meaning than, hey, just look at this batshit crazy thing Bosch drew.
right, right, yeah, absolutely. Um, and so there's a lot to it, and I don't think it was an LSD fever dream. Of course, the fact that the thing is huge, that's another thing. He can fit a lot of detail on a fucking 12 by 7 panel.
Yeah.
It's gigantic. So,
That, yeah, it's really hard to overstate just how massive this thing is.
yeah. And
And
if you see somebody standing next to it, I mean, it's 7 feet tall. So, it's super tall.
so,
Um,
yeah,
and it was meant to be a back piece for something, it's like a backsplash for people to work on, work
mhm.
work in front of. So,
Yeah, it's just it's a remarkable piece, and like, yeah, there's the level of, yeah, look at all this crazy stuff, but it is such a testament to how detailed he could be, and just the absolute care that was put into every symbol in this is amazing.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a wonderful demonstration of early of Renaissance art, of art as it was first coming into the more modern era, into the Baroque era.
Hmm.
Um, it's a really interesting because it does in itself, it has a lot of interesting different um, styles mixed within it. But it's a fascinating piece that has inspired people for centuries. And so I guess with that, we can go ahead and sign off.
Yeah, yeah, that's I again, I don't know how we top all that with more of us just jibber jabbering, you know? It's
Right, right.
it is such a remarkable piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I guess thanks for coming out, folks. And we'll be back next week to do Peter Paul Rubens, and I will have my tech issues figured out by then.
And hopefully, the owl will leave you alone.
Yeah, hopefully so. Oh, all right. That's it, folks. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks again, everybody.